course of this year, we will spend time looking at different aspects of digital citizenship and how it impacts you as a scholar and a person. This directly ties into the Wildcat Matrix that you have learned about previously.
This first lesson focuses on social media and how you feel, adapted by Common Sense Education.
Social media impacts our lives and our identities. Sometimes this impact can be positive, and other times it can make you frustrated or sad. We as a school use social media to highlight the wonderful things that are going on academically, artistically, and athletically. The essential question for today's lesson is, how does your social media use affect how you feel? In this next section, poet Vanessa Raymond Ibarra writes about social media's effect in the poem titled Stupid Blue Screen.
Here is her poem. Feel free to follow along while we read it. Stupid blue screens. I become so attached to my phone that the sun no longer provides light. I become so attached to my phone that I don't know how to talk to my best friend face to face. It's hard to socialize in person, but behind the screen I am powerful. I am a voice that is bright red that can scream at these stupid blue screens. I become so attached that it's starting to feel like I've become addicted. I'm always on social media, constantly texting, liking, commenting. There are days I cry, stressing about how many followers I have and how many likes I receive. It's like a job, keeping the data of every single notification sent to me. I'm lost behind this stupid blue screen. I'm done with these stupid blue screens. They don't let me think.
While the poem focused on the stupid blue screen, there is research that talks about both the positive impact and concerns of social media. According to Pew Research Center 2018, teens say that social media helps strengthen friendships, provide emotional support, but can also lead to drama, feeling pressure to post certain types of content. Students, we know that you use social media in a variety of ways. We would like to share what other U.S. teenagers have said about the concerns they have.
45% feel overwhelmed by all of the drama. 43% feel pressure to not only post content that makes them look good to others. 37% feel pressure to post content that will get a lot of likes and comments.
We also realize that there are many positive benefits that you experience from social media. We would like to share some statistics that confirm that as well. 81% of the teens surveyed feel more connected with their friends. 69% feel that it helps them interact with a more diverse group of people. And 68% feel as if they have people who will support them through tough times.
Staff, at this time, we would like to ask that you pause and reflect. Take 2 to 3 minutes now to reflect on the following 2 questions. What conclusions can you draw from these statistics? And how do they compare with your personal experience?
A couple weeks ago, Mr. Ray shared insight into cell phone usage and academic success. This next video talks about the active and passive use of social media.
Alright, so we might have to do this a couple times, just you've been forewarned. We use the hell out of social media, and while on occasion it can prove useful, oh man, my Grammy's Bitmoji game is dope. Experts warn that social media use is fundamentally changing the way our brains process information. The media thinks we're addicted.
Teens.
Social media.
Obsessed.
There's always some new study highlighting some new finding on how social media is ruining young minds. I get it. Perfect vacations, perfect selfies. You can only scroll through your Instagram feed for so long before it really gets to you, right? But if you look at the actual research, does it support the idea that social media is subconsciously chipping away at our emotional well-being, making us depressed? And can you really use a blanket statement, social media? Are Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram all doing the same thing to your brain? First, a little historical context on how experts have viewed new communication technologies. In 1936, when radio was all the rage, students were at risk of disturbing the balance of their excitable minds. On television, it was going to disrupt conversation, reading, and the patterns of family living, resulting in the further vulgarization of American culture. Patterns of family living, what the hell does that even mean? Now, it's social media's turn under the microscope. Though it may be pretty new to the research world, there's still been over 400 studies looking at Facebook alone, trying to understand how and why people use social media. The results don't boil down to a simple one-size-fits-all consensus. In researching this story, we look primarily at studies published in the last 3 years from respected American research universities, like the University of Michigan and Carnegie Mellon. The majority of those studies focus specifically on Facebook use, and a good number did find a correlation between Facebook use and depressed mood. But there's always a but, isn't there? It's not necessarily the case that Facebook use is causing a depressed mood. It could just as easily mean that people who are feeling depressed spend more time on Facebook. When looking at Facebook use, researchers found that how you're using it is super important. Facebook's resident expert explains.
If you look at more active uses of Facebook, so looking at people sending comments or sharing messages or writing on each other's walls, we find that well-being improves over time. But on the other hand, just sitting back and passively reading your newsfeed doesn't have these effects.
Are you passively scrolling through your Facebook feed, letting selfies and food porn slowly wash over you? If so, the link between social media use and depressed mood appears to hold true. But if you're showing some love to your cousin Bob, who just graduated, finally, then the correlation can swing the other way. Your mood may actually get a boost. So when they say Facebook use is associated with depressed mood, we have to define what they mean. Passive use or active use? And if it's the latter, active use with who? If what's important is how you're using social media and who you're using it with, then Snapchat may be the clearest example yet of how all social media isn't created equal. For the research crowd, Snapchat is still pretty new, so there's not a ton of research yet. One study published in the research journal Information Communication in Society found that Snapchat interactions were associated more with positive mood compared to other social media platforms. Now, it's a small sample size of 154 undergraduates in Michigan. It's not big or varied enough to apply the results to everyone, but the study's authors think that with Snapchat, give me a second. Ephemerality is a key ingredient. Videos and photos disappear seconds after being viewed. Because of this, we often share more mundane, everyday stuff with close friends. A stark contrast to the perfectly curated photos of success posted on Instagram that will exist forever. We can't give Snapchat all the credit for causing an uptick in mood, but more general research in psychology does support this interpretation. The ephemerality, do your Googles, of Snapchat requires the user be present and in the moment. This focus on the here and now, as opposed to thinking about the past or future, is associated with a positive mood. That's what these dudes over here said. So the next time you see a scary headline about the evils of social media, remember, the research says how you're using it is what really matters. Typically, passive use is associated with depressed mood. Active use is associated with positive mood. So, what do you think? Does this research ring true for you? How does your social media affect your mood? Let us know in the comments below. Till next time.
Staff, at this time, we ask that you take 2 to 3 minutes to discuss the following questions. What are the key takeaways from the video? How does this compare to your personal experience?
Technology is a powerful tool that allowed us to be both passive and active users. We encourage you to find ways to actively and positively use social media in your lives.